once again, we get back to exploring and thankfully don't have any currently active robots to deal with. Though I'm sure we're gonna run into the next robot before we end this clip, because they have to be so damn consistently prominent in this game. Right, so we need to use the speed booster in order to get that particular missile upgrade. Technically speaking, it shouldn't be all that difficult to pull off. At the very least, it's gotta be easier than doing a speed boost into ball form. And of course, I'm going to have trouble actually pulling that off. At least I got to it in the second try. And now we're teleporting back to the absolute first area of the game. We are just bouncing all over the place. And it's really hard to get a sense of just how much progress we've actually made just looking at where we've gone. Okay, so we managed to get a door that we couldn't access to open now. But it doesn't really feel all that immediately obvious why we came here in the first place. Well, this is certainly a new area that we wouldn't have been able to enter before now. At the very least, it was a more interesting climb up than usual. May as well save while we're here. After all, who knows what we're gonna run into next, and how far away the next save point is gonna be. Really using that pause button quite a lot since hitting save doesn't actually feel like as much of a stopping point as it did in the earlier 2D Metroids. I don't really recall having to do that for the 3DS game, but then considering how long this game feels like it's been so far, I'm not all that surprised it feels like an eternity, since we did the 3DS remake of the second Metroid game. Hell, it's kind of amazing how much working on a Let's Play the way I do kind of messes with my perception of time. When I was recording this game, it took about 3 days for me to do it all completely, but depending on how I feel any given day while working on the commentary, it might take anywhere from a month to several for me to complete a single game. Anyway, enough of that for now. We've got the Grapple Beam. That should help our mobility and be able to open some doors for us. Didn't really have much of a sense of that massive block being all that heavy based on how Samus looked when we pulled on it. We have the same animation regardless of if we're pulling on a massive block or opening a door. As usual, I'm having some initial trouble trying to figure out how to swing around with the Grapple Beam. Funny how I always seem to have trouble with the grapple, but I still like it. But when I have similar trouble trying to figure out the speed booster in a given game, I just don't give too much of a damn about it and try to just do as much as I can without using it as much as possible. Okay, seems we're leaving this area after grabbing the Grapple Beam, and we're going back to Arteria. I wonder when we're gonna go to a fresh area. And why do I feel like grabbing major items like the Grapple Beam just doesn't have the impact it did in the older games? It kind of feels like skill is so much more important than gear in this one, which makes the fact that such a large portion of the game involves us trying to find more and more gear have a bit less impact than it used to. Sure, We still need those tools to open the various doors and to do damage to some of these bosses, but I've been getting the sense this game feels more like a 2D Batman Arkham game than a 2D Metroid for some reason. That's not a bad thing, since with the exception of the actual 2D Arkham game, Blackgate, that is a damn good series. But there's still generally more characters interaction with the other characters in those games than Metroid generally has, so... Yeah, it still feels like something's missing here. Okay, so we go through one elevator thing directly to another. Granted, it's my choice to go through the elevator instead of just continuing to explore our current area. At least this one is leading us to a new zone, though. I really feel like it was easier to feel like you had measurable progress in the earlier games than this one, and I'm not entirely sure why, since, again, we have been gaining things. We have been destroying major enemies. What is going on with me here? Makes sense that we got more light here now that we're closer to the surface. Oh, great, a buzzsaw when we don't have a lot of room to maneuver to get up there. Well, at least I've avoided getting injured. Now we're entering another Emmy zone, and we're going to learn what the newest one has as a gimmick. Excuse me for not feeling especially thrilled since we've done this particular song and dance a bit too often and for too much of the game for my tastes. I was kinda hoping that Grapple Beam would do something to that floating bot. There certainly seem to be a lot of the little guys floating around here for some reason, as if we needed more things to make the next robot inconvenient. Well, a Chozo Mural. Well, the mural certainly gives this guy more of an Egyptian look than he actually has at the moment, but that's mostly a color-based thing. The overall design of his outfit, very much the same. Okay, where did that come from? Ah, there's the enemy. The hell? Okay, so we're breaking the pattern for some reason right now. Who just turned off the robot before it killed us? Why? I'm not really complaining, I'm just a little confused here. So we have another Chozo here. So much for them being extinct when we run into two different Birdmen in the same game. Well, nice to see you look so relaxed when you were nearly killed just a moment ago there, Samus.
Anaman Henki Maradis. Pisalakutar Ilithocha Hasana.
Hello there to you, Quiet Robe. Excuse me if I end up forgetting your rather simple name as the game goes on. I'm not used to having an outright exposition cutscene in the middle of a Metroid game. A cutscene where a lot of different names are being thrown around. Funny, I was under the vague impression that the Jozo made the Metroid so dangerous in order to counter the X, and that the only reason the Metroids became a galactic-level threat was because the pirates kept trying to use them for their own purposes. Granted, I like the fact that some of the blank spaces are being filled in, but I can't help feeling slightly annoyed that my headcanon has taken a pretty solid torpedo for something that screws with my idea how the Jozo actually were. But then, I'm sure the revelation that there's an insane Jozo out there actively trying to make the galaxy a worse place has got to be having a bigger effect on Samus than me, since she was raised by that civilization.
Kalmir tostek, ananakoden mugi hakalai. Ashkar behek hem ilimaukin, Hasana hasari anabalta dos humahar sarian. Ilitarin alima, les bludakan dos geren humahar korgangal turutan Metroid.
Does this mean we have the Metroids as well as X somewhere on this planet?
Hem mugi lamai dos goro humahar Yoris me kohana. Aitarili gelsu manu naloni ishkaili agarna lima.
Well, good to know the evil tribe of Jozo somehow didn't know about the X. I don't suppose you're gonna tell us how Ravenbeak managed to survive that outbreak, are you?
Megorile shakutanka. Omtar humahar gelsu mugi barilin ilieris.
Did they have a civilian population on this planet, or just soldiers?
Dos karodan hum. Ninu aros hakame, ninu mahar meheni, dos tumema, ninu mahar yoris. Ishili Metroid, meili agarna lima. Habari bama mugi sarali, lina tamahar toshi.
Huh. I don't think I've ever heard of a story where the evil guy's plans were thwarted before the hero even learned of the villain's existence. Though considering the Federation had a Metroid cloning facility and had enough genetic knowledge to implant Metroid DNA into Samus as a vaccine, I'm pretty sure he could just get what he wants by attacking the Federation directly. As much as I want to say maybe attacking an isolated Samus is easier than fighting the largest galactic government, it's not like we've seen the Federation be all that successful so far, hence why their indestructible robots are now Raven's toys. And I'll be along for the ride with you there, Samus. I somehow doubt that opening the gate is the only thing you need to do to help us. As a side note, dear God, does that music sound awesome? First musical bit in the game that actually caught my attention and caught me smiling. Well, at least the assassin waited until we were done with the exposition and got some triumphant, heroic music for securing the kill and starting the next fight. I'm sorry, but after all that exposition, I'm not exactly in the best mindset for a brutal, unforgiving skirmish here. Especially when said fight is against something we've never seen before. And while I know our missiles are doing some damage to it, the fact of the matter is that we don't know just how far from death this bastard is. We just know how close to death we are. Yeah, not a surprise we didn't make it through on the first try. Excuse me while I cut away 2 more deaths I had when fighting that thing. Huh. Why wasn't that bot patrolling that inconvenient section of air above that pressure plate this time? Really not a lot of time to tell if the melee strike this guy is going for is going to be the red unblockable one or the yellow counterable one. The red strike also seems to be more difficult to dodge. This guy is certainly a missile sponge, that's for sure, and unlike with Kraid, there doesn't seem to be a way to get more health and missiles in the middle of the action. Huh. Well, that certainly was a close one. The end of the fight was so abrupt, I thought it was still going. Sorry, Samus, but there's nothing we can do to respect the dead here. He's just another part of the terrain now, which is more than can be said for his killer. There's not enough left of him to stuff into a goddamn pillow. Okay, so just how are we supposed to get past that fan? There we go. Right! Momentarily forgot that we need the gravity suit for cold areas these days. If the Viera suit can keep us from burning, why can't it prevent us from freezing as well? They're both temperature regulation things. Speed boost? From that angle? Screw that, I'm out of here. And I'll probably forget about it for a very long time. Or at least what will feel like a very long time, considering the way I work on commentary around here. I just checked how much footage we've already gone through in this LP and was horrified that it was only 4 hours. Then I checked the raw footage I have left to work with, and oh dear. Though I could be wrong, since I keep trying to find moments to start fast-forwarding, especially when I'm getting lost around here, it looks like we're not quite at the halfway point. We're getting close, but not there yet. Guess we're rushing through the fan again. I probably should have gone through this door the first time through, but it wouldn't be the first time I've made that mistake in this game or the others so far. Anyway, it looks like it's time to go through another elevator. We've certainly gone through quite a number of them in this clip, that's for sure. As a side note, not sure I'm a fan of the staircase just folding into itself into a ramp when Samus isn't walking up it.
Uploading data.
Our profile friend has explained much. We now know why the enemy are pursuing you. Samus Aran, Raven beat Mural.